How's everybody doing? I can't hear anybody except for Tar. He's unmiked or mic'd.
How are you feeling today? Did you get over your illness?
Yes, needed plenty of rest is what I needed.
Well, that's probably a common occurrence for you, isn't it?
It is, unfortunately. I hate to say it.
Yeah, well.
I wish I could be like Sandy and take a licking and keep on ticking.
Well, she probably didn't have 3 grandkids living with her or whatever.
That's true. I didn't put it that way. Just get tired after a while, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because a matter of fact, I think it was Wednesday night. I came in and I didn't even get off of work or keep from watching the kids till 7 o'clock. After 7, I'm sure it'll pay off one day.
Oh yeah.
Hopefully it'll be.
Remind them of that. Tell them they're your retirement plan or whatever.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Hopefully my grandkids will want to change my diaper when I'm older, huh? I saw an interesting interview, Ronald, that I wanted to share with you.
Hey, good day, everybody. Welcome back to our Working Together series, live from the Netiv Zoom room with Rabbi Karmi Ingber. We're just waiting for Rabbi Ingber to show up into the Zoom room. I'm sure he'll be here any second. And, I know it's been a few weeks, but, this class is still going strong, and we always love what Rabbi Ingber's got to share. And if you've got any questions, write them down, and after he shares a short message, I'm sure we can get any decent questions into the rabbi. So in the meantime, I'm going to just click into reveal and see how Rod Bryant's doing over in Netiv.
I'm doing fantastic. Rabbi just entered into the room.
Beautiful.
Hi.
So it's good to see that you made it into the room. At first I thought Dan was going to say, if you have any comments or questions, wrap it on a brick and throw it through Rabbi Ingber's window. And good thing he changed that. So
yeah, it's a good.
Well, so Rabbi, it's good to see you.
It's so nice to see you, Rabbi Ingber. So we're going to turn it over to you, sir, and I will turn off
recording in progress.
Got it.
Okay, awesome. Dan, just turn off my. Yeah, very good. All right, thanks. Okay, guys, welcome everyone. So much to talk about as usual. I figure I'm going to start with something from this week's Torah portion. There's, endless what to talk about. Let's try to talk about something that's very relevant to all of us. Even though it seems not relevant, everything is relevant. So let's try to do this. Especially this week's Torah portion, we have the battle between Yaakov, and an angel. Very strange. First of all, how do you battle an angel? You train at WFC wrestling. How do you fight an angel? It's not obviously not literal. He's wrestling with him physically. That's not what it means. Who is this angel? And what does it mean that Yaakov is fighting with the angel? And then it comes out that Jacob wins this battle against this angel. And then the angel, Jacob says, well, I want you to bless me. And he says he's going to give him the name that God will give him later on in the Torah portion, which is Yisrael. The Jewish people had two names. Jacob was first called Jacob, Yaakov, and then it became Yisrael. The word Yisrael has a lot of meanings. Israel has a lot of meanings. The word Yisrael is from the word Yashar, straight. Yashar, Yisro, Yashar. And the name afterwards, at the end of that, Yisrael is the name of God, straight to God. The term Yisrael also, as the angel says to Jacob, means that Sarita, you have struggled with the angel and with people, and you've succeeded. So there's an aspect of struggling that is Jacob's victory. We need to understand that because, ladies and gentlemen, struggling in life is part of the issue. Don't make the mistake that, if I'm doing the right thing, it's got to be easy street. It's not supposed to be. We're in this world to do something important, and therefore there are struggles. And when you struggle, you're actually fixing things up in the struggle. Like imagine a person who's trying to push a rock. He's pushing the rock. He doesn't realize he's building his muscles as he's dealing with these problems, and that the struggle is part of that. Now, let's understand the struggle. Let's understand who he's struggling against. And then the angel cannot beat Jacob, but it says he hit him in the area called the Gidanasha, certain area of a joint that connects the lower part of the body, the hip. And that's why Jews have a commandment we can't eat. There's a certain nerve that goes through a cow, through an animal, and that a nerve that goes through has to be removed. It actually is the most expensive part of the animal. It's the filet mignon has that nerve, and there's a special process to take it out. So if a Jew wants to eat filet mignon, it's a lot more expensive because he has to have an expert to pull it out. That's the area, the joint between that transitions between the and the hip. Now let's understand this. Who is this angel? First, what does it mean he's fighting an angel? It does not mean he's physically wrestling. You can't wrestle an angel. That's not what it means. The battle is between this angel that is considered the guardian angel of Esav. And in a certain sense, it represents the angel that was against human beings. When God created the world, it says he consulted with the angels, so to speak, and the angel said, don't create man. Because angels, and again, I hesitate to use the word in English because it has misconnotations. The word in Hebrew for an angel is called a malach. The word malach is from the word milacha, an action. An angel is not a little helper. God doesn't need little helpers. That's not what it is. What is like this? It's very deep. Try to understand this. When I say I take my pen and I let go and I drop it, how did it fall? Well, that's called gravity. What is this gravity? Well, it's a force that God made in the world, that the world follows those rules of gravity. There are rules that God made that the world functions according to. There are spiritual rules too. Those are the concept of angels, of malachim. There's certain things that they happen from a spiritual perspective, and they are on a mission to bring this thing out in the world. So there is an angel, a force that is meant to conceal truth from us. That's its job. Now, this is very, very important because there are religions that know this concept and have taken the concept and made it idolatrous. Let me explain why. This force cannot have any of its own power. It cannot be in a battle with God. You can't battle God. There is one power, one control of the whole world. God is not in a battle with this force. It's called Satan in Hebrew. The word Satan, very much like the English word Satan, the word Satan is from the word Satan, means to attack, to counter, to provoke. What is this force? Is this force I have in a battle with God? That can't be. That, from our perspective, will be idolatrous because God controls everything. So the idea is like this. Imagine there is a king, and the king has a beloved son. He trains the son to act properly. And then what happens is, now when the son becomes of age, he wants to test the son if the son is going and acting accordingly. So he says to the son, listen, here's a money pouch, and I want you to go out in the world and act like a righteous royalty, like a prince like you are. Here's your royal clothes, and here's the money pouch. Go out in the kingdom and act accordingly. Then the king hires a harlot, and he pays the harlot in order to entice the son. Now, the harlot, when she's doing her job, the whole time is hoping the son will say no, because she's employed by the king to test the son. That is this force in the world. This force cannot do anything that it is not programmed to do. Its program is to conceal truth from us, that we can struggle with it and we can see through the lies and see the truth in the world. That is the struggle of this spiritual force, this angel, which is the angel called Esau, who represented lies and illusions in the world. And it was the force that was meant to conceal truth, and it battles with Jacob. Now, it's not battling physically. That's ridiculous. Yeah. What it means is that the spiritual force is looking to find, is there anything lacking in this person? Jacob became this righteous person. He went through tremendous struggles in his life with his brother Esau, and with Lavan, who were tricksters and liars. And Jacob has to be a man of truth, and yet he's stuck between this world of illusion and lie, and he's got to navigate and not get destroyed and not fall into their view of the world. So he becomes this righteous person, and now is the pivotal point. And now there's a battle. And the angel, so to speak, is testing him. Is he whole? Is there any shortcoming in his whole body? Does his mind think of the right things? Does his heart feel the right things? Does his arms do the right actions? And the angel can't find any flaw in Jacob and Yaakov, except for one place, maybe. Where's that? That's the place where the body, the upper body, connects to the lower body. Now, why is that a soft spot? It says in this, the sage is right, that when the angel was battling him, he thought that Jacob was an angel too, because he found no flaws in him. But then he found a joint. You know what in the body, a joint means is a place your hips can become dislocated. Right? They can become disconnected from the entire body. Angels don't have joints. What does that mean? Angels are God, do the mission that God sent them, just like gravity works according to the laws that God set up. And so what happened here is that the angel said, wait a minute, he's a human being, because there's a place where there's a joint that could be dislodged between the upper body and the lower body. Let's understand what that means. I have a mind, and I can know what's true. And I have a heart, and I could feel what's true. But sometimes what you know in your head, you don't feel in your heart. And sometimes you know it in your head, and you even feel it in your heart, but your lower part of your body just does what it does. Your actions do what you do. You know you shouldn't do this. You feel you shouldn't do that, and still sometimes we do it. How is that? Because there are three parts to the body. There's the mind, as we said many times, called the moach in Hebrew. There's the heart, called the lev, And there's the lower part of the body, which is run by, the sages teach us, the liver is the organ that somehow spiritually is connected to the lower part of the body. When I take the mind, in the Hebrew, the word is moach, and then the heart, lev, and then the lower body, the liver. It's the first letters of mind, heart, and liver in Hebrew spell the word melech, which means a king. When a person thinks their thoughts, and then they feel the feeling, and then they bring it out in action, then they're like a king. When the person lets the lower part, the part that's procreation, the part that is the physical actions of the world, when the person lets that dictate, and you go from the back up, it spells in Hebrew the word kalem, which means a disgrace. Because if a person goes and their physical yearnings for what they want are dictating what they should feel and what they should think, then they become a disgrace. Now let's talk about this lower part of our body where our legs and our lower body is connected to. So on one hand, we say, you know what, it's really good to think, to feel, and then to bring it down to action. But think about it a second. When a baby is born, so what happens is it can't move its feet. It doesn't know how to walk. The hands, it's playing with stuff. The feet is a process. And when the baby first learns how to walk, it's not easy. Now, when you get older, isn't it a good thing you don't need to think how to walk? Right? God forbid if somebody has a stroke or something like that, they have to learn how to walk. It's the most terrible, painful thing. The Hebrew word for legs is called regel. Regel is the word, which also means the word for a habit. Some habits are great when your mind and your heart, and then you bring it out, it becomes a habit. Those are good habits. You could have good habits, right? Parts of good habits. You know this is the right thing to do. You're feeling it now, you do it. Every day you get up, you do the right thing, and that becomes habit. Those habits are good to have. You know, a person doesn't want to be 50 years old and thinking how to walk. But the habits, when they're dictating what you think and what you feel, then we're in trouble. So it's not only the desires in the lower part of the body, but it's even the things that we just do, the habits. The habit has to be coming from the higher part. Animals walk like this, right? Their heart and their mind's in the same place. They're all in the same area. The reason why human beings walk erect is because we have a mind where it starts from. Mind to the heart and then to the habits. What happened was the angel said Jacob is a hole. There's a place where a human being can know something, can feel it, and not bring it out into their actions in life. And that's the place he hit him. That's the joint. That's the connection that we need. We need to go and to make sure that our bodies are whole, and the what we bring out in the world is in concert with what we're about. Now let's go a little bit deeper for a second, because I asked you, who is the king of the human being? Is it the mind or is it the heart? So, and I said it was the mind, but people are like, wait a minute, I'm not sure that's exactly correct. Maybe the heart is the king. And in one way, it's true. The reason why the heart is called in the center, at least in the center of the body until the legs, which are considered to be the outside, the part that's bringing you, the legs bring you to your next area. The reproductive organs bring the next generation. The heart's in the middle of your torso, middle of your body. You know why? Because the middle sometimes is where everything comes out from. I'll show you an amazing thing. The word for a king in Hebrew, melech, is exactly the three middle letters of the Hebrew alphabet. You know why? Because from the middle, everything comes out. So in one way, the heart's the king. One way, the mind's the king, he's on top. Let's understand this. If you want something that badly in your heart, you know what your heart does? It fools your mind into believing things you shouldn't believe. That's the way it works. Think about it. Think about it. Just, today is Sunday, so in America it's big football day. If you're not a fan of any team, but you decide I'm rooting for that team, all of a sudden you have to feel everything for the team. Because when you want something, you start to turn your mind to what you want. That's why in Jewish law, it's so crucial. The issue of bribery is such a forbidden issue that the Talmud says that there was cases where the guy came and said hello to the rabbi. He came to greet him. I can't judge your case anymore. Because you were exceptionally nice to me. I like you now. I'm biased because my heart feels something and it could twist the mind. So one place the heart is the leader because it has the root of what a person wants. And therefore, we need to go and think, what is it that I really want? Because if we don't think that, then what happens is we end up misleading ourselves. We got to think what I really want. Now, if you realize that what you want is not right, there's a solution. Then the mind can work on the heart. But let me explain how this is done, because this is somewhat, people sometimes work very, very hard trying to want things that they know they should want, but they don't want. So let me give you the deeper secret. This is a very amazing secret I'm going to tell you now. So if somebody wants something that's bad, then it's really bad. You need to get rid of it. But a lot of times, the thing that you want is not in its root absolutely bad. It's just that's the way that we want it. We don't think about what does it represent. Let me give you an example. If I was to take all the songs in contemporary music, and I would say, what do you think is the word that's most said in songs in contemporary music? So it could be the word love. And it could be the word maybe home. We're going home, homeward bound. There's so many songs about going home. And if I ask most people say, you know what? I have a picture of this. I want a house. I want the estate. Most people in their minds, when they picture something they really want, they want a beautiful home. And now that could be a very, very physical thing. But if you think about it more deeply, you realize the desire for people to have a home is because there's a deep desire of every person to return to their root. That's called returning to God. That's why everyone wants to go home. So yeah, I want to go home. I like my family, I like that. But it's a deep component to the person. So the person feels they want something and they don't, it's not good. You got to take the mind and realize that if the heart wants something that's not very good for you, you need to redirect yourself. And then the mind's got to take the wanting of the heart and not just say, you don't want it, because you probably do want it. But it has to find the deeper thing that will be good, that will be in line with what you want. So if you want to, for example, I don't know, if your main goal is to make a lot of money, so then you got to ask yourself, okay, why do I want that so much? And then you might start to think, I really want it so that I won't be afraid. I'll be secure. I'll be able to do things. And then you could realize the root of it is that you want to be able to do good things in the world. That might be your root. You don't even realize it. So the way a person's built, it goes, there's the heart that it wants, which has to be lined up, because in one way that's the king. And the mind, which is connected to the higher parts of our soul, that is, in one way, also the king. And that's much have to direct the heart to make sure it's feeling the right thing. And then we have to bring it out into action. And that was where Jacob, the angel, saw human beings aren't perfect. Jacob was as close as you can get. but in the descendants in the future, and things are going to happen now in human beings, is a place where even when I know it's right, even when I feel it, is that what I'm doing? And therefore, there's two processes that we could change. One process is to redirect what we want with the mind, and there's another process, very, very great thing. This is amazing. I said to you before that the angel hits Jacob in the joint of his lower body because he realizes sometimes the habits are disconnected from the upper person. So there's another way to actually change. And this is amazing. If you start doing actions that are good, it'll work, that it'll affect the way you feel and the way you think about things. I think I mentioned to you once, there was a study they did in a university where they went to mental hospitals, and the students were feigning depression. And they were studying on depression. So they walk in, you're looking down, I'm very depressed. I'm very depressed. I feel awful. And then they got admitted. But after 3 weeks, they had to stop the study. You know why? Because everyone got depressed. If you act depressed for 3 weeks, you're going to be depressed. So I'm here in Atlanta. I don't know. The sun has not shone here in like 10 days. It's like, everyone I'm talking to, I'm counseling people, I'm talking to people. I was like, I don't know. I just feel so lackadaisical. I'm like, yeah, I'm not saying it's all the weather, but I'm sure that what's happening is that it's subconsciously playing into your world, and now you're not doing things. So get up and go exercise. Get up and jump around. Do the things on the outside that will affect your internal mechanism. That was the battle of Jacob and the angel. The angel's job is to conceal the truth. He's got a lot of ways to conceal the truth. He can make you think it's the wrong thing. He can make you feel the wrong thing. And he can also make you that when you know it and you feel it, you end up not doing it. That was the point he hit Jacob on. But Jacob's victory was because it says he always struggled. It's an amazing thing. It's a verse in Proverbs. It says, a righteous person falls 7 times and gets up. And an evil person falls once. What? Is he all right? How come he keeps falling? Because, I made a mistake. But am I going to let it keep me down, or am I going to get up? And I'm going to say, I can become something. I can be something. I can do that. I can bring out the great thoughts and feelings into action. And therefore, the righteous person gets up, he struggles. And the angel says to him, you, Jacob, with your struggle, with all your challenges in life, when you realize that you could struggle and you're going to win, and sometimes you might make a mistake, sometimes you might fall, but you're going to get up and you're going to keep struggling. When you realize that, this person is whole. And that's why he becomes Yisrael. He can one that could struggle with the angels, struggle with people, and he will succeed because he understands that that is the gift God gave us. And it's the challenge that he brought this angel into the world, not to beat us, but to give us the success that we will earn when we beat that intimidation and that concealing of the truth. Okay, let's open up to thoughts, ideas, and concepts.
Well, first of all, you struck. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dan. Go ahead, Dan.
I don't know. The pineal gland, that's the one that's behind the ear area.
It's right above the spine, about
right. I actually I did give a class. Those who want could go. My YouTube channel is now getting more stuff. I'm putting daily 5-minute Torah on. I gave a class recently about the bone. There's a bone that from which it says that is not disintegrated in the person, and where a person will eventually attain eternal life from. Now, what is that bone? Where is that exactly? The loose bone, exactly, the loose bone. And I explained the loose bone. The loose bone is a very crucial thing in life, very, very crucial thing, because the loose bone represents the idea. You see, if a person says, okay, he lived their life, they died, and now, so it's over. But if there's something remaining of a person from which they flourish for eternity, that means the person really lives forever. And what that means is that there is goodness and wholeness inside of us, and a lot of other stuff that gets mixed in. But when you push away the parts that are the shell, you get to the core. Like the DNA is a place where there's some aspect of the person who lives a righteous life that remains, and they can be reconstituted in a certain sense for eternity. That's called the loose bone, whatever that is. Now, I did see that there's different commentaries on what that is. We don't know where the loose bone is. I saw somebody saying it's the bone there, the penile bone there, because that the DNA lasts in that place. They found old skeletons and old skull bones. They were able to pull DNA. I don't know. It could be. It's hard to know where exactly. There's different opinions of the loose bone. Many people hold the atlas bone, but again, it's hard to understand what it means, because I don't know scientifically, because you see, science. Science. What happens is that it's always finding new different levels to understand it. Just to be clear, especially with everyone here, because people come from certain backgrounds that, certain religions kind of feel like they look at science and religion as two sort of separate things. They can't kind of put them together. So they just, in Torah, there's a statement that Torah cannot contradict science in any way, and science cannot contradict Torah in any way. So therefore, if you see a contradiction, there's one of two options. Either you don't know enough science, or you don't know enough Torah. Those are the options. So what happens is that sometimes, like right now, we think that we understand, we thought we understood the small, when I went to school, and many of you, we looked at the smallest parts of an atom. Well, there's a lot smaller than that. There's the subatomic particles, and you get smaller and smaller. So I don't know exactly what they're going to find and what the loose bone exactly is. Is that the pineal gland? Possibly. I don't know. But I think what's going to happen is that whatever is this loose bone, if it's the atlas bone, if it's the penile bone there, gland, then maybe science will find out more detail of where the root of the person is. Because, for example, right now, we understand you get to the DNA, right? You've gotten to the root of the person. But who knows what we're going to discover in 20 years from now? We'll maybe have a different terminology. We all think, by the way, you just understand this, just, in the year 1900, there was a scientific convention that happened celebrating that we figured everything out already. 6 years before Einstein flipped it all on its head. So I know now we're a lot smarter, but we ain't as smart as we think we are. So we're going to find a lot more, and science is going to uncover a lot more about the mysteries. So I don't know. I don't know what the loose bone exactly, and I'm not sure. And the heart doesn't literally mean the muscle here. It's a deeper reflection. But there's a part where the mind is something that science understands very little about. Okay, not the brain, even the brain. The pathways that are created in the brain, science understands very little about, because the brain is the physical gray matter. It's the physical representation or seat of the higher part of a person, an aspect of the soul. And that's what it is. The mind, the brain is not. The brain is not what's doing it. The brain is what's giving the seat of the higher part, and that's able to therefore do the things that we do, because it's connected to a higher part of ourselves.
Rabbi, I was going to comment that the human brain has over 40,000 neurons, and very much like the brain, the human heart has its own neurological system and its own communication, and it sends signals to different parts of the body. So, when she mentioned about the pineal gland, obviously that's not the heart, but that pineal gland helps to, it is a center location of, they've discovered like deep spiritual connections that happen in the pineal gland. But the whole thing is the heart is very much like another brain. It is capable of processing emotions and feelings like our brain does. So that's why when we have something, we go, oh man, I just makes my heart feel so good. Well, it's because you have neurons in there that respond to these kinds of things.
Yeah, it's very hard to know exactly, which aspect. I mean, a person, it's a very, very, very deep topic. You can, there's an amazing treatise written by the Malbim where he goes to the tabernacle and he lines up the tabernacle with a human body. It's incredible. And he just goes through every aspect, this part of the brain, that part of the brain that represents the two tablets, and he goes through the lungs, and he goes through every part, what it represents there. So the human body is built in a way that is a vehicle for representing the highest spiritual creations that are there. And it's a very, very, very deep topic to know what it is and to know exactly. I'm not a doctor, but if the more we know about it, deeper it is. So it's a very good question. I don't know exactly the root of the pineal gland. I don't know, but there is discussion about the different parts and how they interact.
Sandy?
I didn't say that. Read it one more time, Dan. It's placed. I mean, we know the heart where the heart is placed, sure. And therefore, what? Yeah, I mean, the Torah talks about obviously where the heart is and many aspects of it. But I don't know how that relates to the pineal gland. Okay, yeah, let's go back. See if we can clarify exactly what the question. I hope I can answer. Sandy, what do you got?
Well, it's in regard to the struggle with the angel. And if that was not a physical struggle, but a spiritual struggle, then did Jacob actually incur a literal physical injury, or was that a spiritual injury?
No, I think I wasn't saying that there wasn't a physical manifestation of that. That's not what I meant. What I meant was that it wasn't like, when you say Jacob wrestling with an angel. So when we think wrestling, we're saying, well, how physically strong is he? That is what's going to determine his victory or not. But that wasn't what was determining if he won, was that he was strong. What the wrestling was about the spiritual component of all that it meant. And it did have a physical manifestation. Yes, it clearly did, because it says Jacob was limping. So and by the way, Sandy, it's a very deep question you're asking, but it really applies to everything in the world, which happens on a spiritual level translates into a physical level too. And that's why we're talking about the body here, because I don't know exactly what it means that the heart is the king. It's not the physical organ, but it's something that represents in a spiritual sense that is manifest in the physical sense. And it's always like that. It's like that in even all of our interactions. I'll give you an example. This I think is very, very important. a person, a person goes and they do something and they feel bad. So they go to a psychiatrist and they try to figure out, how do I not feel bad about what I did? And then we say, wait a minute, that's not the right thing to do. Maybe what you did was bad. And the fact that you feel bad about it is a very great gift. That you have a barometer that something in a spiritual, emotional world can actually cause you physical feelings of that are bad. That's good. So there's a transition from worlds that are non-tangible to worlds that are tangible. And people will spend their time getting rid of that feeling. And I just feel terrible. Yeah, because you did something bad. It's a great thing that your barometer in your being could actually translate into a physical feeling of discomfort. When a person spends his time getting away from that feeling, they do very, very terrible things. So my point is that there's always an idea that when I talk about something spiritual, the system is all one and it lines up with a physical thing too. So the battle was a spiritual battle, which had physical manifestations, and it manifested in the place where a human being moves from the main part of the person, the torso and the mind, to the lower part, which is the legs that bring things, that move them, that become the habits, that become the lower part, and the more automated desire physical aspects disconnected. So it's both spiritual and literal. And which part? In my book, we have different parts about it. My book goes through purpose of life. It goes through fate and destiny. It discusses all the understandings of the stars and what that means, and how the world works, that people are born with under certain what's called mazel, certain qualities, and people have different qualities. It goes through free will. It goes through grand plan. It goes through a lot of stuff. It goes
Folks,
through purpose.
that's Rabbi Ingber's book called Where the Heavens Kiss the Earth, Mystical Insights for Personal Growth, and you can find it on Amazon. That's Where the Heavens Kiss the Earth by Rabbi Karmi Ingber.
Yeah, we got a lot of things there, especially the last chapter where I do discuss mind and body. In the last chapter of the book, we discuss mind and body. We discuss the ideas of Mashiach, Messiah. We discuss the world to come. There's a lot of those things in the last chapter of the book. So a lot of stuff there. No, I appreciate it. My wife always says to me, I don't tell anybody. I guess I don't like plugging. That's great. That's great. I know. I was just in Israel. I was speaking in different places, and then we finished the class, and my wife stands up and goes, "The things he spoke about, you can find in this book." I was like, "Thank you." That's beautiful.
Well, we also want to welcome Rabbi Shlomo Schwartz from Toronto. So I'm glad he's here.
Beautiful. Yes, Rabbi Schwartz, glad you came. Rabbi Schwartz and I are talking about doing a Zoom meeting broadcast, and so I invited him to see what this one looks like, and no better place than Netiv to see how it's done right. So, yeah, always good to have a new rabbi. Yeah, thanks for coming.
Very good.
Anybody else have any questions, comments?
Yeah, I'll actually just do one more. I mean, I don't want to be a shameless plug, but as I mentioned before, I really, there's a lot of Torah to teach, and it's endless. So I've sort of dedicated myself now to really sort of every day put out a new Torah thought. I'm putting out 5-minute Torahs. I'm putting out longer things. So we'll be setting up a podcast in the next couple of weeks. We're just learning exactly how to do it. But in the meantime, on a YouTube channel called The Inner Spark. The Inner Spark. And if you go to The Inner Spark, you'll be getting pretty much every day, God willing, some new, deeper insights. And there's a lot of different stuff. There's the 5-minute class, the 10-minute class, hour class, try to, deeper things, more emotional things, more, trying to provide what we can in the world to help bring truth into the world. That's what you got to do. Good. Any other questions, thoughts, ideas, comments?
Any more?
You got a question, Tim? I don't want to put you on the spot, but I thought, Tim, you had your hand up before.
Who did you ask?
I did.
Oh, Timmy.
I did have my hand up.
Tim's got some great.
Thank you. You really made me think about some things. I did have my hand up, but you kind of covered what I was going to ask. Because I always thought about the struggle with Jacobo physically. But now I can comprehend like a vision and lust, and then he resisted it, and then power, and they're having this struggle back and forth, and he's winning and everything, and then the angel finally found a place and he touched him, and then he had that pain and it kind of threw him off balance. Like, I don't know. I just never.
It's obviously, I'm glad you said, Tim. I'm happy what you said, because people, when you read the Torah, and the 5-year-old child learns it, and the 95-year-old Kabbalists learn it, and it's endless. So the fact that you got a deeper understanding in it, I'm very, very happy.
Thank you, sir.
Beautiful. Okay, and also just other thing I wanted to mention, we are working on our Florida trip. We'll be coming out to Florida, meeting some Noachites, speaking in some of the synagogues in some places. So that's being put together right now. If you live in Florida, send me a message. We're going to be putting out together our Texas one soon. That's going to be for later. Not in the summer. Sorry. But, I've been in Texas in the summer, not coming back in the summer. But hopefully late fall will be the Texas trip.
Awesome.
Will you be coming through Kansas or anywhere up here in the middle of the United States?
We're looking to go right now. We're trying to take Torah, bring it to the people. So if you're in Kansas, Tar, I will try to make something in that area. Where in Kansas are you?
Close to Wichita.
Okay.
I'd love to come see you.
Okay, very good. I will try to do that. I'm not promising, I'm going to try to work on it. I have a student from Wichita, very close student of mine, that I don't know, he's not back there right now, but maybe he'll be there at the time. And then I'll try to. How far are you from? How far is that from? Like St. Louis, Missouri? Far.
I don't know. It's 300 miles from Texas, though. I know that.
Yeah.
Well, Rabbi, you might not even want to think about the fall. It's been in the 80 degrees here in Texas this week. So fall doesn't necessarily mean cool here.
All right. Well. Oh my God.
Yeah, my goodness, you could keep it, Dan.
Well, Dan, you're in Vancouver area, no?
So, it hit about minus 14 last week, and I got to work all night. So, that's when it's windy at that temperature, it doesn't seem that cold when it's not windy, but when the wind comes, it just bites on the skin, and yeah.
I lived in Israel for 21 years, and then and I had a school. I was training rabbis, and thank God we trained 300 rabbis who are around the globe now doing teaching, and then there was somebody who wanted to recruit me to come to America, or come to North America from Montreal, and what happened was they flew me out to Montreal in the winter to try to convince me to come out. And I said, no. And the next year they kept pressuring me. They flew me out then in the summer. And I said, no, not bad. So short-term memory, I went to Montreal. And oh my gosh.
Yeah, the seasons are quite pronounced up here, and I'll tell you, at least it's not as cold as Saskatchewan. Yeah, they've been hitting minus 40, minus 52 the other night. I heard minus 52, and yeah, you can't wear facial hair in that temperature. Either that, or you got to have a big bushy facial hair. So, yeah.
It freezes on your face. What?
Well, I know my mustache froze out there just from the breath, and it'll break off, right? So, you know, it gets that cold. Like, you can't be outside for 15 minutes unless you're truly prepared for it, right? You got to have full gear and lots of layers.
You're making everyone in Texas feel so much better. You see what you're doing here? It's beautiful, Dan. Everybody, you know, it's an amazing thing. I remember when I first was in Montreal, so I was teaching. I was teaching in a high school also, and it was September or something, and it was a beautiful day out. I guess maybe it was the end of August, and the kids were begging me to go outside. I never saw anything like it. They were just begging, and I said, "Yeah, let's do it." And then I understood, because when you are living in a freezing area, you appreciate a nice sunny day.
Mm-hmm.
Very important lesson in life. You don't get, you know, and I'll end with this. This is just the most amazing thing. Rabbi Chal says, he says that one of the things that you have to see in the world is that God, Hashem, is one, and he is the only power. There's no other power. And he says the ultimate way you're going to see that is when you see a world that you think everyone is controlling different things. You're afraid of this and you're afraid of that. And there's this guy and there's that war. And there's these politicians, no politicians. And then at the end, when you already have experienced in our analogy, the freezing cold, you've experienced the other so-called powers, and then you see no, God's running the whole show, and everything was all going to where it had to go all the time, and everything that everyone was doing thinking they were in control was not the reality. Then you realize there's only one power.
Amen. Beautiful.
Be able to see it soon.
Yes.
All right. Wonderful. Great speaking to you. I will be on. Maybe what we'll do is I'm going to be on live 2 Sundays from now. But as I said, I've been doing a lot of recording. Maybe what I'll do is I'll send out on Sunday my regular time. I'll send out a pre-recorded pre-recorded piece of Torah. And maybe we can put that up.
So you're saying the next 2 Sundays you will not do a live
I will be
class?
back in 2 Sundays live.
Okay.
I'm saying next Sunday I won't be live, but if people would like, I could send out a 5-minute, 10-minute little idea that we can just keep the continuity of our thoughts.
Yeah,
sure. Rabbi, send me a link and I'll make sure I post it out there on Noahide World Center social media. And yeah,
also
exciting.
On the TIV, make sure I get the link so I can post it up on the TIV.
Okay, I will send it out, and I'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
All right, folks, there you go. Rabbi Karmi Ingber, we so appreciate you. Look into his book, Where the Heavens Kiss the Earth, on Amazon. You can find it. I'm sure it'll be wonderful and filled with clarity and exciting stuff. So, Where the Heavens Kiss the Earth by Rabbi Karmi Ingber.
One thing about it is people be, you know, like the book was written, it's a deep book, but we wrote it in a way that everyone could read it. I have rabbis who read this book and they use it and they study from it. But I wrote it in a way that I explain everything, put everything in English, and it is explained in a way that you know, whether a person has extensive background or does not have an extensive background, it's made accessible. So I hope you enjoy it.
Oh, I'm
also,
sure
just
it'll be
wanted
awesome.
to throw in, Dan, anybody that's wanting to participate in the live classes every week, make sure you send an email to netivcenter@gmail.com. We'll put you on the list and make sure that you're there. The next class will be Monday evening with Rabbi Zvi Avner. It'll be our next class.
All the best, everyone. Thanks.
All
So
right.
shalom, shalom, you guys. We'll talk to you later.
All right. And Rabbi Schwartz, I did get a hold of Rabbi Moshe Schulman, who texted me back during this broadcast. He's going to try and text you after 6 p.m. your time, so expect that shortly and try and tee up a time so you can chat with him. So we're going to sign out for today, folks. We'll be back in 2 weeks with our Working Together series live out of the Netiv Zoom room with Rabbi Karmi Ingber. And in the meantime, check out his book, Where the Heavens Kiss the Earth, Mystical Insights for Personal Growth. I'm sure it will be a wonderful book to read for sure. All right, so have a wonderful day. We're going to sign.
Shalom, shalom.
Recordings